Hello, everyone. Welcome along to the meeting today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to see so many people joining our lunchtime session today. We're going to dive straight into it just because we only have 20 minutes, and that is absolutely going to fly by with hearing from Dan and Eve and hopefully some of your amazing questions. But just to get started, I wanted to introduce myself. My name's Amy. I'm the Youth Action Lead at Plastic Clever Schools, and we are super excited to be the education partner for the Big Plastic Count 2026 to support schools like you guys around the UK to get involved in the 2026 count. Now, as you'll probably be aware, if you're signed up to the count already, from the 9th to the 15th of March is the Big Plastic Count 2026, where thousands of households, schools and communities are taking part in the UK's largest ever people-powered investigation into household plastic waste. But if you're not familiar with the count, you may be thinking, well, why are we doing this? Well, in previous years, the Big Plastic Count actually found something pretty shocking, which is that most of the plastic that we put into our bins isn't actually recycled. Much of it is burned here in the UK or is sent overseas or to landfill. And so the count is back in 2026 because we need your help to keep the pressure on and demand real change from people in power. So to help us get ready, we are lucky to have two incredible special guests here today, Dan and Eve from the Big Plastic Count. Now, Dan has an incredible story about how this all started that he's going to share with you. And both Dan and Eve are here to show you exactly how your school can make a massive impact by taking part in the count this March. So before we get into hearing from them, just one last quick thing. We really want this session to be for you guys. So as you listen, please do post your questions in the chat or in the Q&A function. And whether it's about the plastics issue as a whole or about Dan's story or about how to get your whole school involved in the count, please just do pop them there as Dan's speaking, and we will try to answer as many of them as possible during the meeting today. But otherwise, without further ado, I will hand over to you, Dan.
Thank you, Amy, and hello, nice to meet everyone. I couldn't have done a better intro myself, so thank you very much for that. So welcome everyone. The fact that you're here is fantastic. You obviously have some knowledge about the Big Plastic Count already, and hopefully are looking forward to taking part. So I'll try and talk through everything as quickly as I can, going back to obviously the story of the Big Plastic Count and how it came about to what we're looking to do this time. So I basically started the campaign almost 8 years ago now. In a nutshell, I saved all my plastic waste for a year, kept it all in my spare room in my flat. And at the end of that year, I counted it, analysed it, weighed it, photographed every single piece. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to get an in-depth insight into what I was throwing away and what happened to it. I appreciate it's not your kind of regular person's experiment, but to me, it felt like I wanted something different to do, and I did want that in-depth insight. So what we did was we created a methodology which would essentially offer me that in-depth plastic profile. So how much was I throwing away? What was it made of? And importantly, would it end up being recycled, or if not, what else would happen to it? So I'd saved 4,500 pieces of plastic in that year. And it turned out that hardly any of it would end up being recycled at all, which I found was shocking, considering that this is what we're being told to do. This is where we're being encouraged to invest more time and effort. And so, having gone through this whole process, I felt that we had something that other people could do. We generated this methodology. Surely anyone else could do the same thing. So we went about developing a project which would do just that. So instead of collecting your plastic for a year and then spending 8 months analysing it, we could do that within a very short, concentrated amount of time. And I felt that the experiment had prompted such changes in me. It helped me to understand the plastics crisis. It helped me to reduce identify where I could reduce what I was using and buying. But I think most importantly, kind of find a place as a kind of in within the movement as an activist. You know, I'd never considered myself as an activist before, and I think it's a really good way to feel that you're doing something, and learning more. So yes, so we start developing this idea, and 2.5 years within development, we started working with Greenpeace, um, to develop to establish the big plastic count, and that was back in 2022. We ran the campaign in 2022 and 2024. We've had nearly 500,000 people take part so far. Between them, they've counted 11 million pieces of plastic. We've had 120,000 young people take part, many of those within schools. And we've had some fantastic feedback from teachers and staff, just saying how accessible, simple, fun the experiment is. We've obviously got a lot of resources as well that we share, and we work with brilliant partners, obviously, like Amy and Plastic Clever Schools, who really help to support and advise on how this can support other initiatives such as Plastic Clever Schools. So yeah, here we are today. This is 2026. It's the third time we've run this campaign. The project is now supported by the National Lottery Community Fund. We're going to be running this up until 2028, hopefully even longer, funding dependent. But yeah, this is really a great way to kind of, if you haven't taken part before, to kind of be planning, to do this over the next 3 years. That's what we want. We want to be generating regular and consistent data, for one, but also bringing many more people into this movement. We want to use the big plastic count to help people who have maybe felt that they're not part of this conversation, and bringing their voices in. And I think schools, as the centers of, or as the center of many communities, is a great way for us to do that. So your participation is integral to the success of this campaign. So what we're looking to do, I'm sorry, I know that we're short on time. So what we're looking to do is really to gather as much data as possible, so as many participants as we can, particularly through schools, for then to you'll submit your data into our website, which I'll show you very shortly, and we will then use that data to push the government to take more urgent action. And I think there's many great ways in which you can support in this. You can bring in, if you have relationships with your MP, we'd very much encourage you to be writing to the local MP. If you don't, then we can potentially support you with that. The other thing is, bringing in your eco teams and your sustainability committees. Finding out what action is being taken in the schools, and discuss how the count can support what you're trying to do. If it's removing plastic from the cafeteria, for example, there's many ways in which it can support, or trying to use it to take out plastic from lunch boxes, whatever it may be. So like I say, many different ways, and we do have lots of resources to share. I'll just show you quickly our dashboard, which hopefully, if you've already signed up, you'll have seen. So this is my dashboard. This is unique to you. So every teacher has their own unique dashboard, which you'll see your classes there, and your school. You can add another class here if you want to. Very much encourage you to get your colleagues to take part as well. Hopefully you've had a look through the teacher's guide, whether you're a primary or secondary. a letter to parents or carers, and there's posters to put up in the school as well. Here we've got some resources for you as well, an assembly presentation which includes a great video from Amy kind of commenting and talking you through the project, which I would really advise showing to the class. It doesn't have to be an assembly, it can just be in your class. And then I suppose importantly, what you're going to need to ask your pupils and their parents and carers to do is to be counting throughout the week. So you'll see the count sheet here. Print those out if you can either at school and give them to the pupils to take home, and they'll just count their plastic packaging waste for 1 week, and at the end of that they'll need to submit their data. So you can also there's a plastic ID tool which will help them determine where certain packaging goes. Hopefully the categories are self-explanatory. We've worked quite hard on making it as streamlined and simple as possible, but there's a plastic ID tool there just to check. And then we're just updating the website at the moment, so by the time it comes to submission, there'll be more information in here. So you'll have a unique class link which I can show you here. So essentially you go to that when you click on the submit link, it will take you to this page. So for each pupil, you'll need them or yourself to submit the data, and that really doesn't take very long to do this. As long as their count sheet is there, it could probably take you, I would suggest, easily less than 5 minutes, perhaps 2. So all you do is for each pupil, you copy this link and add a new submission journey. We'll also send you some details about how to do this. So that's very much a whistle stop through the process. Eve, I don't know if I've missed anything. No. But yes, be great to hear if you guys have got any questions at all, and if you want me to talk through anything in more detail, just let me know.
Thanks so much, Dan. That was brilliant and a very effective whistle stop. So thank you very much. We've got a couple of just kind of data related questions, which I think you kind of covered in your last bit there, but just to kind of give final clarity if it's needed, just around when a school account is created with the classrooms, can the, for example, teacher leading on this in school submit the data for everyone if other teachers are kind of less involved, or kind of will data end up being doubled up if children submit at home? Although I think it sounds like the link that's shared kind of avoids that. But yeah, just a couple of clarifications there.
Yeah, thanks for that. So yes, so I can see that yeah, so as everyone submits, so we ideally want them to be submitting through the school. If they've signed up at home as well, you know, I suppose there's some doubling up, you know, but essentially if we can drive anyone who's participating through the school, that'd be great, because then that feeds into their class profile or the school profile as well. And I see that, you know, if other teachers are reluctant to do so, I think it's probably best, yeah, to make sure that you're submitting per pupil. I think that's a really important thing as well. So yes, very much encouraging pupils and parents and carers to submit through the school route. I can see another question or comment here. At the moment, we're just planning to do with our eco committee, but we're trying to encourage other class to do it. I think that's, you know, you're not alone in that, and I think that's it's a great way to start doing it through the eco committee. We want there to be I guess a desire to do it. You know, we want pupils to want to take part. We don't want to force it upon them if they don't want to do it. So, you know, I think starting with the eco committee, if your school has one, is a really good way to kind of start building the message. And I think, as I said at the start, really thinking about how your school can continue to take part in this project over the next 3 years and beyond. We're looking to build this as we go through from this year right through to 2028, going for a big one in 2028. So yeah, I think that's a really good way to do it. I also just saw that you've also invited your MP, so I think that's again fantastic. I think MPs at this time, particularly if you have local elections going on, I think it's a really good way to engage politicians and to be pushing for more action on this. And I think that's politicians, whether this is they do like to visit schools, they do like to hear from you, and I think children have an incredibly powerful voice in this. We've done some events previously where we've taken children to Parliament, and it's their voice is almost more powerful, and they listen to the children more than they do to campaigners. Yeah, definitely encourage you to reach out to whether it's your councillor or to your local MP.
Great, thanks so much, Dan, and brilliant to hear. Yeah, schools already getting so involved ahead of the count. That's exactly what we want to hear. Now I'm aware we're getting slightly short on time towards the end of the meeting, so maybe just to hear from both of you is like sort of a quick fire final answer. You mentioned there about the hope being that schools will get involved in this for the next few years and it be something that kind of happens ongoing in schools, which obviously would be amazing. If there are schools listening who it's their first year getting involved in the count and they're not exactly sure how to get started, or they're not sure of ways to bring the action that pupils are doing at home into school and make it something that the school community is really involved in, what would each of your quick fire top tips be for them, I guess, to finish?
Shall I go first? I think just the fact that you've signed up and you're giving it a go is the number one tip I can give. We've tried to make the process as simple as we can. We always welcome feedback, but I think just seeing it as something that is easy and straightforward. Don't be scared of the process. Obviously, it is. You do have to invest some time into it, but hopefully it gives you a lot of sort of value and a lot of things to take forward to talk about with your pupils.
Yeah, and I would just say the main thing, we really want people to enjoy taking part as well. So it's a great, it's a fun activity that pupils can do at home, engaging the family, talking to people about their experience. If only maybe one class or one eco community sign up this year, but then they have a great time and then they tell more people, and you as teachers really enjoy the process and you tell more teachers, that kind of word of mouth is really valuable. And as Dan said, we're building on this year after year. So, this year, perhaps, if it feels like a small number of pupils taking part, maybe next year there'll be even more, and it's great to see that comment that your year 4 pupils are keen to carry on until they get to year 6. So well done, you year 4 pupils. That's really fantastic to hear.
Absolutely. And I think a really nice positive note to end on, actually. So thank you so much, Dan and Eve, for those kind of final messages there. I'm really aware that I don't want to overrun because I'm sure a lot of people are joining from your lunch break. So thank you so much for putting aside the time to join us today. If you're not already signed up to the Big Plastic Count, and hopefully if you're not, this has inspired you to, I'm just going to pop the link to sign up in the chat now. So make sure that is your first kind of point of call after this meeting, if you haven't signed up already, to head to the website and get involved. We're also going to be sharing this recording round, so feel free to spread to other members of your staff or the rest of your pupils. And just to mention, if you do want to kind of further your plastics action in school after the Big Plastic Count, there's going to be more being shared around getting involved in your MPs, and also through Plastic Clever Schools, we run a programme that is free to get involved with to try and help continue what you've learned through the Big Plastic Count within the school community to really drive some action with your pupils and the wider school network. So hopefully if you're also taking part in the Big Plastic Count, you're also well on the way to achieving Plastic Cover School status. So a bit of a win-win there as well. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining today, everyone. We can't wait to see the amazing work that you do as part of this year's count. So thanks for joining us today and have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.